We have a lot of news for you this month. We talk about the death of Jedi, security threats to be aware of, Microsoft Inspire event highlights, Microsoft shows healthcare industry more love, Azure de-argoes global, AWS kills off EC2 Classic, AWS also makes a big donation to Linux, GCP Anthos now works with Azure, and many more cloud news stories from the last month, which we'll cover here in the next 10 minutes or less. Hi, I'm Matt Carolyn, and welcome to this month's Puck Online episode, bringing you all the hot topics from the last month from the public cloud space. Today we're here at Kate's Park in North Vancouver. Lots of news to cover as you heard, so let's get into it. So looking at Microsoft's monitoring of devices worldwide, the world encounters attacks on over 91 million devices in the month of July. The top threats were from AutoKMS hacker tool and the wildcard attack Trojan virus. And at the end of July, it was reported that the Bazzacall ransomware scam is much bigger and dangerous than originally reported. This is a ransomware scam where fraudulent call centers trick people into downloading the Bazzaloader malware. Talking about malware, have you heard about Lemon Duck and Lemon Cat? Don't ask me how they come up with these names, but one of them, the motive, is to use your machine for crypto mining as well as collecting your credentials. It's spread by email, USB, and network drives, and also a variety of edge exploits, simple brute force attacks on RDP and edge apps. It will leave your system locked for you to pay a ransomware and uninstalls and disables all security products and tools you have while using your machine to spread itself. So basically, it's just doing everything. So after all the drama since the Department of Defense for the US in 2019 awarded their 10-year, $10 billion contract to Microsoft, in July, the DoD announced that they were canceling it. Both AWS and Oracle got involved in fighting the decision, and even Trump got involved at one stage. Instead now, they have a new contract with a less catchy acronym, JWCC, which will be a multi-cloud solution. And in the middle of July, Microsoft held their annual conference, Inspire. Due to COVID, this is the second year it had to be online only. The event is designed for Microsoft partners, but there were many reveals which will get everyone, not just the partners, excited, such as Microsoft's AMP program, now having an extra M in the acronym, as well as it now covers a wider breadth of offerings, including Azure Arc. The AMP program is available to select Microsoft partners who are at the top of their game, allowing them to provide clients with extra funding from Microsoft, get you going with Azure. Also, funding levels are easier to understand and apply now, as Microsoft has changed from counting how many servers you plan to deploy, to simply counting the money that you're expected to spend. Also, if you're still running Windows Server 2008, 2008 R2, 2012, or 2012 R2, then don't forget that in 2023, your extended security updates will come to an end. However, if you migrate them to Azure, you will get a free extension for 1 year for 2008 version and an extra 3 years for 2012 versions. And it's a similar story with SQL 2008, 2008 R2 and 2012, with extended support ending sooner, with next year being when you'll run out of time. That is, unless you migrate to Azure, then you'll get an extra year for 2008 and an extra 3 years for 2012. And if you didn't hear about Microsoft's Cloud PC running on the new Microsoft 365, check out our quick video summary here about it in the link. And something new I learned during the event was the service Microsoft Viva. It's an employee experience platform that brings together tools for employee engagement, learning, well-being, and knowledge. They announced they will be adding integration with 20 more partners, including ServiceNow and Workday, with most people currently working from home, and many are looking to stay that way after COVID settles down. I think this might become an important tool, like Teams has become that important tool for communication, in order to make staff well supported, finding the help that they need all in one place. Within the work group I'm in, we've been using Teams over the last 12 months to bring together our KPIs, resources, tools, onboarding resources, and more to make Teams a central point to start from. And from what I've read so far about Viva, it primarily uses Teams and takes what we've actually been doing manually and takes it even further. So I'm excited to explore it so our clan can get even more connected and empowered. And finally, the last announcement that I felt was big at the the event was that while every other cloud provider out there on average are charging a fee of around 20% for their sales of software developers' solutions through their app stores, Microsoft has reduced their fee for the marketplace to only 3%, which seems far more fair in my opinion, and more in line with credit card merchant fees, which at the end of the day, Apple, Google, Microsoft, and other online stores are really offering the same type of service, just in a more modern online format. Now, every month, Microsoft Teams is seeing a ton of new features and enhancements, so I'll try to rattle off quickly. So you can now search meeting recordings based on the transcript text that Teams creates for you. You can lock a meeting so no more people can join, translate a PowerPoint slide live while you're in the meeting. Admins can set backgrounds company-wide, which will be great for brand cohesivity. Transfer calls between desktop and mobile. I know I'll love that one. Multi-geo, which allows chat data to be stored at rest in a specific geolocation. And finally, safe links for Teams, which is already a feature for email, but now comes to Teams, which can scan links in your chat sessions to ensure they are safe, because you never know if a person who you're chatting to might have been compromised, and malware might start sending off text messages with malicious links to any communication app that is open. You will need to create a safe link policy in order for this to start working, as it's not on by default. In 2019, Azure was the first cloud to introduce ingest of managed structured healthcare data in the native FHIR format with the service Azure API FHIR. I know, creative name. Last month, they renamed the service to simply Azure Healthcare APIs, as they expanded its capabilities to enable the exchange of multiple data types in FHIR format. This service has been purpose-built with PHI, which is protected health information, in mind, allowing users to bring together different sets of PHI data and connect it end-to-end with tools for machine learning, analytics, and AI. Now, this next new feature will turn on a shutdown or deallocated VM in Azure Virtual Desktop host pools when a user tries to connect to it. You could always set policies to shut down idle VMs and save in your costs, but with the Start VM on Connect capability, you'll now also ensure that those VMs are available to your users if they need them. And Azure Firewall Premium went GA in July, providing advanced threat protection that meets the needs of highly sensitive and regulated environments, such as the payment and healthcare industries. Organizations can leverage premium stock keeping units, SKU, features like IDPS and TLS inspection to prevent malware and viruses from spreading across networks in both lateral and horizontal directions. Key features in the release include TLS inspection, IDPS, URL filtering, and web categories, which allows admins to filter outbound user requests to internet based on categories like social networking, gambling, and so on. In 2018, Azure Site Recovery introduced the feature to allow DR within Azure itself. Prior to this, it was only for outside of Azure to Azure, being the first public cloud provider to do so with native services. The limitation was, though, that you could only do replication and failover within the same continent. In 2020, they extended support to cover within region, zone-to-zone DR. This was great for those who needed to keep their data within the same region due to data compliance and regulations. Now, in 2021, you can finally replicate and failover globally. What this really means is that ASR really has no boundaries anymore, with you being able to use it across anywhere in Azure as well as outside of Azure to on-premise or even other clouds. So in July, Microsoft acquired RiskIQ, CloudKnox, and Suplari. Suplari will help improve supplier spend insights by helping to transform data around spend from multiple sources. CloudKnox is all about zero trust security controls. Active Directory customers, which is most people on Azure, will gain granular visibility, continuous monitoring, and automation remediation for hybrid and multi-cloud permissions. And finally, RiskIQ adds intelligence to your security by providing better insights in global threats and attack surfaces to your environment. And now in AWS news, IoT Sitewise Edge, which is part of the IoT Sitewise service, went general available. IoT Sitewise automates the process of collecting and organizing industrial equipment data via software running on the local gateway. IoT Sitewise Edge is designed to enable users to collect and process equipment data on-premise for low-latency applications that must continue to work even when the connection to the cloud is unavailable. A new updated set of Microsoft Visio stencils and shapes are available for use for both desktop and web versions of Visio. No need to download and install them anymore either. It's been a while since I last looked for updates, so I think you haven't needed to download and install them for quite some time, but still good to know, as I was scratching my head last year trying to find where the download link was these days. Now, the great thing about a stable and reliable cloud is that you might run into the same problem as me. One of my personal projects on AWS, which I launched back in 2010, has been running without an issue for the last 11 years. I think I might have rebooted my EC2 instances about 4 times over those years and had 0 outages. I tried to migrate to a cheaper, newer EC2 instance a few years ago, but you can't restore a snapshot from an old EC2 to a new one, as the ones I am running are on an older hypervisor that isn't compatible with the new one. So I just ran out of time to do the migration of the solution at the application and data level. But now it looks like I'll have no choice but to find that time if I want to keep the site working or even have a good backup, since I assume my AWS snapshots will be useless soon when I no longer have classic EC2 instances to restore to. So that's a long way of saying EC2 class instances are being retired. If you are using them still today, you should have got a notification email the other week like I did, and we better get cracking on it. And AWS is contributing an updated version of the Amazon Lumberyard game to the Linux Foundation's Open3D Foundation and renaming it to Open3D Engine, or O3DE. Released to open source under the Apache 2 license, O3DE is based on Lumberyard, but much of it was reportedly rewritten. The new version is an open source, real-time, multi-platform 3D engine designed to enable developers and content creators to build AAA games, cinema-quality 3D worlds, and high-fidelity simulations without fees or commercial obligations. And AWS released a new tool to monitor and maintain high-availability apps. For those who need higher than 4 nines of availability, Amazon Application Recovery Controller now is GA. It provides a set of capabilities within the broader Amazon Route 53 product that continuously monitors an application's ability to recover from failures and controls application recovery across multiple AWS AZs, AWS regions, and on-premise environments. Okay, now, so in GCP news, Google just launched their new Asia South 2 zone in Delhi, India. It has 3 separate zones and has a long list of GCP services which were available at launch. And October 12th to 14th, we'll see Google's annual event, Google Next 21, be held online. So make sure you register at the link on the screen. Last year's event went on forever, so I'm glad to see it's only a 3-day one this year. And keep in mind that it is still only online. And Google have introduced a new feature for their object storage. You can now set at the folder level security so that your files and folders can never be made public. We used to hear stories about this all the time, about companies mistakenly opening up public access to their cloud files. It still happens, but major cloud providers a while ago started to make it harder to do so. The great thing about cloud is that it is fast and easy to do amazing things, but the downside is that it is fast and easy to do embarrassing and devastating things as well. And it's now possible to use Anthos clusters on Microsoft Azure. We're talking about Kubernetes clusters, load balancers, and lots more, which Anthos users would be familiar with. A few updates here with Cloud SQL, with SQL Server now GA on SQL Server 2019, and Auth through Active Directory. Cloud SQL also now supports cross-region replicas, and MySQL now supports authentication through IAM. So in Wrapup, make sure you check out publiccloud.ninja for links to all our vodcasts, podcasts, and online meetups and events. And click that like and subscribe button so that you'll be notified each month when we release a new episode. Our next episode will be in 4 weeks' time. Till then, stay safe and keep challenging yourself.